Hello there, it's 10th of March 2022. Greetings from Rwanda's capital, Kigali. I'm glad you chose to keep it to Rwanda Television News. And this is what makes our top stories tonight. Participants of the 77th session of the Executive Committee of the African Parliamentary Union are taking place in Kigali expressed that countries need to enhance good governance in promoting the development and well-being of the African people. The Ministry of Local Government says that the Health Insurance Fund has not yet reached the level of self-sufficiency, with the government allocating 6 billion Rwandan francs to buy health insurance for the vulnerable. A very good evening to you and welcome to Rwanda Television News. My name is Sam Kalisa, and as we begin our tonight's edition, let us inform you that President Paul Kagame has received Aurelien Ogbonochi, Benin's Minister of Foreign Affairs, who is in Rwanda as a special envoy with a message from President Patrice Talon. In 2016, Benin's president made a visit to Rwanda, and both countries signed agreements meant to promote trade, investment, and the movement of people and goods between Kigali and Cotonou through flights between the two countries. And to other matters, participants of the 77th session of the Executive Committee of the African Parliamentary Union taking place in Rwanda expressed that countries need to enhance good governance in promoting the development and well-being of the African people. We begin our tonight's edition with Innocent Mugabo.
About 120 members of parliament and delegates from 41 African parliaments attended the 77th session of the Executive Committee of the African Parliamentary Union. They first took a minute to pay their respects to the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. The president of the Executive Committee of the African Parliamentary Union, Mohamed Ali Hamed, commended the progress made by Rwanda in its reconstruction.
Cette page douloureuse de l'histoire récente du Rwanda.
The tragic times that Rwanda has gone through in the past saddened the hearts of all Africans, which was due to losing humanity by some and wanting to prioritize ethnicity. Commemorating the genocide against the Tutsi helps to make sense of the tragedy and make people understand that what happened in Rwanda should not happen again. To us who have come for this session, it is an example of a community that is able to build a better future and capable of overcoming all the obstacles they face in the course of their development.
Sur le chemin de son développement.
The committee meets at a time when some African countries face issues of governance and acts of terrorism that affect the lives of people.
Il faut que la population soit associée à la gestion de l'État.
Citizens should be included in the national programs. When this is not done, it is often the source of anger. So that is what we need to avoid. We must strive for true democracy and for the people to be involved in the governance of their country. As representatives of the people, we are ready to discuss this issue. While there is good governance and democracy, it will help in dealing with acts of terrorism.
Peut-être nous pourrons à long terme éviter donc les questions de terrorisme.
The Nigerian Senator, Professor Nora Dedut, another participant, notes that whenever there is insecurity, it has a serious impact on the population.
We are undergoing a lot of attacks by terrorists, and of course, we feel insecure. Women suffer more because they are the home keepers. And when there are attacks, many lose their lives, and that is the men. Many men lose their lives. And because of that, I think we Africans, we need to do something, collaborate, and also work in solidarity. And above all, we should love ourselves. We are all human beings. We need to know that God creates us. No one has the right to take life.
The Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies in Rwanda's Parliament, Honorable Mukabalisa Donatil, pointed out that the topics to be discussed in these 2 days are important for the health and well-being of the African people.
Une rencontre parlementaire d'un si haut niveau est en effet un cadre idéal pour nous.
A meeting at this level is a great opportunity to look back, learn from the past, and prepare a bright future for Africa. It is a great opportunity to look together at the role we play as representative of the people in helping them achieve their goals and our role in the sustainable development of our continent. Some of the topics we will discuss include good governance, what we can do in these and later times of the COVID-19 pandemic, economic recovery, and the implementation of the African Common Market Agreement.
Participants will visit different initiatives, including the Karama Model Village, the Campaign Against Genocide Museum, and the Isanje One-Stop Center. The African Parliamentary Union was established in 1976 in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, with its headquarters stationed in that city. The meeting is held every 2 years, the last one having taken place in Djibouti. Innocent Mugabo, RTV News.
Thank you, Innocent, for the report. And as we move ahead, development partners have noted that they are satisfied with the way Rwanda uses the support it receives to improve the well-being of its people. This was echoed during the launch of a 2-day development partners retreat in Ruvu district, an annual meeting that brings together Rwanda's development partners. We do have more. In this 2-day retreat, representatives of countries and donor organizations, together with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, will be reviewing the outcome that has been made from funded projects and what needs to be done to further improve the lives of citizens. The COVID-19 pandemic has negatively affected the economy of Rwanda and the world at large. This retreat is taking place while there are still measures in place to contain the virus. Development partners expressed satisfaction with Rwanda's response to the COVID-19 crisis, but also its economic recovery.
The way that we put together our joint efforts with a clear leadership and a vision have been very helpful in tackling the COVID-19. And Rwanda has almost 60% of the full population vaccinated, which has helped open the economy, and growth is coming back, situation is improving. That's also very important.
I was very happy to be living in Rwanda because the government has been very bold in its management of COVID-19. It has been decisive, it has been quick, and it has spared no expense at trying to ensure that the mitigation of loss of life was the priority. And subsequently, we have of course had a very challenging impact on the economy. But ultimately, now the economy is open. And Rwanda is benefiting from having a very active vaccination plan, doing quite a bit of stimulus or support for firms. And so for me, things are looking very bright for Rwanda.
The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Dr. Uziel Ndagijimana, who inaugurated the retreat, praised the cooperation of development partners in the development and well-being of Rwandans and stressed that their contribution has helped Rwanda's efforts towards economic recovery. We collaborated a lot since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. We met regularly, although physical meetings weren't permitted. We all committed to economic recovery, be it in helping the poor, helping the agriculture sector recover, helping the private sector practitioners who were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, and also our partners helped us in the health sector with providing equipment as well as vaccines. So they played a big role, and we are thankful for what we achieved together in these 2 years. We are now looking at how we can continue in this path of recovery and implementing the national strategy for transformation. The Rwandan government also praised the role of these organizations towards acquiring COVID-19 vaccines, and up to date, more than 60% of the population have been fully vaccinated. In this retreat, both the government of Rwanda and development partners will be examining how the government, stakeholders, and the private sector can continue to deal with the economic downturn caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, to examine Rwanda's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, how the agriculture sector, as one of Rwanda's economic backbones, can be improved, and the exchange of ideas that would help the government improve the lives of Rwandans with no one left behind. The Ministry of Local Government says that the Health Insurance Fund has not yet reached the level of self-sufficiency, with the government of Rwanda still allocating 6 billion Rwandan francs to buy health insurance for the vulnerable. In the meantime, however, residents are calling for improvements in the scheme, like where they are required to pay for a deceased head of the family in order for them to receive medical treatment. We do have more with Jenny Motoni.
Residents that have health insurance believe that the benefits are significant because it helps them pay for hospital bills at a low price, but say that there are still some issues. They include the fact that the process is tedious to get medical cards for their children, and that also they still have to pay for the head of the family even when they are deceased in order for the rest of the family members to receive medical treatment. When the head of the family passes away, the other parent stays behind and the children get treated from using their medical insurance, and in some cases the deceased is not from Rwanda. So us who are still alive have medical insurances because we have a national ID. Now the issue remains with our young ones. It's been a while since we started following up with the process. Like my child here, although he looks normal, his sickness is critical. He has a problem in his belly, which hasn't been diagnosed. We were told to go to the cell offices, but nothing has been done. And now we came back for the last time because private hospitals couldn't provide us the medical treatment. During the launch of the health insurance campaign for the year 2022-2023, the Director General of Rwanda's Social Security Board, Regis Rugemanshuro, spoke about this issue, explaining that a child that has not yet received an identity card uses the number that he or she was given at birth in order to receive medical treatment.
Normally, a child is given an identification number at birth, so at the sector level, when there is an issue, it means some documents are missing, and we follow up. Otherwise, getting insurance cards is easy. As long as the identification number doesn't change until you get the insurance card, there shouldn't be a problem.
On the issue of paying for the family head, yet they are deceased in order for the rest of the family members to receive treatment, Minister of State in charge of Social Affairs at the Ministry of Local Government, Ingabire Assumpta, urged people to expedite the deregistration of a deceased family member in order to avoid such payments. We always sensitize our people as we have a clear social system, registering children and the registration of a deceased family member. Otherwise, the urgency lies in hurrying to deregister a deceased member so that they can be removed from the system. And on the issue of replacing a family head, I believe that the spouse is the one to fill in that title so that they stay in the system as a family with their children and be able to receive medical treatment. So I think it is a matter of correcting the information so that while using the medical insurance, they won't face any problem. With regard to the capacity of the health insurance scheme, it has been shown that all the measures taken by the government to support the health insurance fund last year, 2020-2021, have resulted in more than 70 billion Rwandan francs. The government also annually contributes 6 billion Rwandan francs to help the vulnerable to get medical insurance. With 3 weeks left until the end of the 2021-2022 health insurance year, the RSSB has shown that the participation rate has reached 85.1%. The next year's payers for 2022-2023 are 55,687 families with a population of 275,525 who have paid over 826,575,000. The RSSB says that the payment of these contributions will continue to depend on the usual Ubudehe categories. Jane Mutoni, RTV News.
Thank you, Jen, for the report. And as we move ahead, according to Customer Price Index, there was an increase of 5.8% in commodity prices in February this year compared to 4.3% during the same period last year. Now, as Olive Nhete reports, customer protection experts note that even though there are a number of reasons behind the inflation rate, traders sometimes take advantage of the situation to raise prices, which negatively affects customers. We do have the report.
Despite the continued trade activities in all sectors, residents say that the fluctuation in prices of various products, especially food products, which have doubled, has been affecting their daily lifestyle.
Demand is high and prices have doubled, and more than double. Nothing is cheaper. Charcoal, oil, soap, sugar, rice, everything. Even vegetables that grow here are expensive. Life is expensive and salary is still the same. The money one used to spend has increased. If I used to use 30,000 francs per month, now I would use 60,000 Rwandan francs with the same salary. This is a big issue.
According to the monthly consumer price index by the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda, Urban Consumer Price Index increased by 5.8% in February 2022 compared to 4.3% in February 2021. Prices of food and non-alcoholic beverages increased by 7.9%, transport increased by 4.8%, and housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels increased by 4.5%. Comparing January and February this year, prices have increased by 1.8%. Traders say that hopefully the reopening of borders will contribute in lowering of prices. Recently, after announcing the reopening of the borders, everything raised. We used to buy oil at 22,000 Rwandan francs. Sometimes it would cost 38,000 Rwandan francs, but now it costs 49,500 Rwandan francs. We often think that wholesalers or investors are behind this. We used to buy sugar at 42,000 Rwandan francs, but now it is at 76,000 Rwandan francs. The Rural Consumer Price Index also increased by 3.1% in February 2022, while in January 2022 it was negative 0.8%. In rural areas, food and beverages have increased by 4.8%, while electricity and water have increased by 16.3%. According to Valentin Vigango, the quality system and accreditation specialist in the Rwanda Inspectorate, Competition and Consumer Protection Authority, some of the consumers do not know their rights.
Generally, consumers, as me and you, we are not aware of not only of our rights, but as well of this day, of this week, of these days, or of this month. We are celebrating the consumers, the consumer rights. So there is a week dedicated to consumers to know that all consumers are just aware of their rights, that they can just join together the efforts to raise the issue of consumer protection.
With the increase in prices currently going on, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Beata Habyarimana, notes that there are a number of reasons behind the inflation rate. We may get different products from neighboring countries, but I do not agree with the saying that products in neighboring countries are cheaper. I would say that let's not hurry to compare. Yes, the borders were opened for trade activities, but the answer is in increasing the production. There are some things the government has done. First and foremost, to increase the cost of fuel and gasoline so that even if you buy it on a higher price using the water route, you would be able to get and sell it at an appropriate price in Rwanda, whether in Gicumbi or Rusizi. Economic experts note that it is essential for consumers to be informed about the prices so that they can be prepared and do savings. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you very much, Olive, for the report. And as we proceed, in the sector of Gatenga, located in Kicukiro district, the fast food restaurant of James Rwigema is to be demolished by local authorities after he was found that he was operating without proper authorization to do so. We do have the what about with Betty Mutoni.
In the settlement of Giza, located in Kicukiro district, the roof of the fast food restaurant was removed as the first phase of demolition process, but the owner of the business says that he was not given any prior warning.
They came here, they didn't call me, I was not here, I was just absent somewhere. Then people working here, they told me that they are just destroying your stuffs. That's I just come here. So I just want you, like Rwanda, Television Rwanda, just to do something, just to show even citizens that the readers have to do things not in their own, but the own of the citizens.
Different people in their neighborhood raised their concerns about what they call the unfair treatment they endure from their local leaders, saying no prior warning is issued when the such operations are being carried out. I was there and people told me that they have an error to Rwigema's home, and they later came to my place and destroyed it too, and asked them how they could do such thing when the owner is not even around. They would have at least told him to upgrade it, and if such a decision is made anyway, then let it apply to all the people. I don't know why they did this to him, because if it was about the cleanliness, it would apply to everyone, so there should be follow-up. about this problem so that it can help him up.
There is no way someone can do a business to develop and then it is destroyed. We have endured the pandemic, so there is no way you can invest your money and then they destroy your investment.
The executive secretary of Gatenga sector, Emmanuel Mujesh, urges other people to first consult with their local leaders before constructing buildings or opening businesses in any given area.
We find that a lot of people, they want to work for different businesses without permission, which is not good. So we request them to, before they put business, to go and look for leadership and they tell them what is needed to before they start their business.
As part of promotion of entrepreneurship and investment in Rwanda, government is encouraging all people to make sure that they respect the law when setting up their businesses. Betty Mutoni, RwandaTV News.
And on behalf of the entire news production team that made it happen, thank you very much for being with us. My name is Sam Kalisa, wishing you a safe evening. Goodbye.